Good morning, grade 9s, and welcome back to Quarantine English with Mr. Fouché. Today we are doing Common Mistakes, the DLC package. Yes, downloadable content. You have done so well in the previous lesson about common mistakes, I thought a DLC version would be very good for you. Today's lesson has also got a very extensive list, which we will go through. And some of these mistakes you might be making, some of them you're not even using that concept yet, so perhaps this will improve your writing skills as well. Let's get started with number 1, which is pretty much 50% of this list, words that sound similar but have different meanings and are used in different places. So we've got 3 words which sound very, very similar. And there we go. The first one, there, is referring to a place. T-H-E-R-E is referring to a place. So just write that down. Okay. There is not going to be homework in this lesson, but I would like you guys to make notes on what I'm writing here. We can always compare this when I see you again in class. Okay. So no homework, just make notes on what we are doing. So this is a place, this spelling here. So you ask your parents, where did you leave the Oreos? I'm hungry. And they are watching television, so they don't really care, and they say, oh, it's over there. Okay, they are referring to a place. Perhaps not a specific one, but yes, there is a place. T-H-E-I-R is a group of people, and the important thing here is this group of people possess something. Okay. So, their car was stolen at the game. Their car, there, that's the word, the spelling you would use for that scenario. T-H-E-I-R. The next one is a contraction, and you guys must be quite bored at hearing this word because I'm using it so often, but this is they are. It's a contraction. So technically what we are doing here is when we are speaking, we want to say something very quickly, and we say there instead of they are. So let's say they're going to the game. You are trying to say that group of people are going to the game. They are. Okay, that's the explanation of there, and there. There you have it. Let's get on to the next one, which is number 2. Very similar problem that we've got here. We've got your and your. Again, this is a pronoun that indicates possession. So we've got possession again. And then this one, a contraction, which is you are. So here you can say, let's say you are watching, so you are watching this video on your phone, because the phone belongs to you. That's the different use of these 2 words. That's a very common mistake. I have seen this quite a few times in your essays, so try and take good note on what this mistake is. Okay, use the words in the correct scenarios. And now we can continue to number 3, and it's whose and whose. This one can get a little bit confusing because, as you might remember, I have told you there are 2 reasons to use the apostrophe. It is for contractions and for possession. In this case, possession for an unknown thing, a person rather, is this one. And in this case, the apostrophe is indicating a contraction of who and is. So if I ask, who's eating all the cookies? It's going to be, who is eating all the cookies? Okay, but if I use this one, whose cookies did I finish? Now you're referring to a person who is owning, or they possess the cookies. That's W-H-O-S-E. Some of you might remember a very famous comedy show called Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's a very funny show where they act out on stage, and that is the word you would use for the heading or the name of their show, whose line. Okay, because the line belongs to whoever you are talking about there. Okay, so that is whose and whose. I hope it's not too confusing and that you know what's going on there. The next one, I haven't seen you guys use very often, but it is a mistake that most people tend to make. The difference between affect and effect. And contrary to popular belief, it is quite easy to determine which one to use. Whenever you are affecting someone, so let's say the virus has affected my PC. Okay, that would be this one, A-F-F-E-C-T, because it is a verb. Okay, affect. To affect with an A is a verb. It's an action you are doing. With an E, it becomes a noun. Then you can say something like, what effect does a virus have on a PC? Now the word effect is not the verb, it is an entity to thing, a noun. Okay, then you use the E. I hope that clears it up. Next one. We are getting to the I and me. Oh yes, this is good. So I and me. And again, it's not too difficult to determine which one to use. I is here used always for a subject, and me for an object. Let's think of an example. My friends and I are going to the mall. Okay, in this case, friends and I are the subject of the sentence because they are the people doing the verb. Okay, my friends and I, which is why I is being used. But if I ask someone, please send the files to Bill and I. This is incorrect. It's not right. It would be, please send the files to Bill and me. Because Bill and me are the object in that sentence. That is when you use me. Okay. Let's get on to the next one. And now we get to to and to. There we go. We use these words very, very often. Okay. The first word is a preposition. I don't know how I want to spell preposition there. There you go. It's much better. So here you are going to another place. It's showing you how two nouns, usually two nouns, are connected in a certain space. So you, first noun or pronoun, are going to school. Okay, the school, the other noun, and showing you how these two things are connected in that space. One is moving towards the other. So that is what to is doing. It is a pronoun linking these things. But to with two O's is what we use for something that is excessive and it is also a word that you can use to replace as well. So let's say you are playing too many video games instead of studying. Okay, that means too many, which I don't think there is such a thing as too many video games, but there probably is. So that is excessive amount. Now the next one as well, so you play video games, I play video games too. In that scenario, we've got two O's, which mean as well. Okay, so that is how you can use T-O-O. I'm not even going to really, I probably should. The number 2 is spelled T-W-O, but I think that was quite obvious. Most of you should have known about this one before. So, but there you go, I wrote it down, so you do not have an excuse to use it incorrectly. Let's continue on to number 7, which is who and whom. The first one is not too difficult to explain. So, first of all, you have an unknown. So something is unknown, and this something is definitely a living thing. Okay, remember that. We'll get to number, where is it? 8. We'll elaborate more on this idea. But this is a living person who is unknown. And also, they are completing an action. They are, in a way, the subject. So here, think of it as who is eating all the cookies. I'll use that example again. The person who is unknown is completing a task. But this one is slightly more difficult to explain. Okay, let me just write down here. It's an unknown living, I'll just use the word thing. There you go. Whom is slightly more difficult. This is when someone is receiving something. So, to receive. Whom should I send this letter to? Then I use whom. But the more common use of whom is when an action is being done to this unknown entity. So, in a way, it's the object form of who. Okay. So, this lesson is meant for whomever is listening. Okay, then I use whom because now that becomes the object. The better way to explain it is if there's an unknown entity having something done to it. Okay, that's the best way to explain how it works. Think of it as passive. Okay. So let's continue on to the next one, which is who and that. So I can also explain what this living entity thing means. And here, who and that. You might not think, well, I've never confused these two words with each other. They don't even sound similar. But you might have made this mistake before. Not a very common mistake, but it is a mistake nonetheless. This is referring to a living being, which means, I'll give you an example. Sally is the person who always makes coffee. That sounds correct, right? And it's perfect. It is correct. But if I say Sally is the person that always makes coffee, it also sounds natural, but it is incorrect. Because that is used for something that is not living. So an example of using that in a scenario like that would be the red ball is the one that doesn't bounce anymore. Perhaps it's broken or something. But yes, now it's a ball I'm talking about and not a living person. So any living person, and sometimes animals as well, you can use who. So John is the person who delivers our mail, for instance. And that is something you use for non-living things. Okay, let's get on to the next one. And we are almost done. Number 9 is one that I repeat in my class a lot. See what I did there. There we go. And a lot is 2 words. Okay, 2 words. And this is the common use that you guys use a lot for. So I have a lot of homework to do. That means I have a new word, lot of homework to do. Okay. You might see there's another word here, which is a lot with 2 L's. And what this word refers to is to distribute. Let's say you have to pay your workers their salaries, and now you have all of the money and you have to distribute it. Then you can allot this amount to that person, you can allot this amount to that person. So think of this word as a verb. And these 2 words combine in a way to create a noun. You've got a lot, a collection of, a grouping of. So a lot of homework, for instance. That's a combination of homework. In this case, you have allotted something. It's a verb. Okay. There is no such word as that. It does not exist in the English language. Okay, so please make very good notes on this. This is incorrect. You cannot use A-L-O-T. It's not a word. With that out of the way, let's get to number 10. And this one, I have seen a couple of times, which is then and that. There are two easy ways to, well, basically just one. I'm going to write a description of when the word is being used next to it so you can see the difference. Time and to compare. So then, we made dinner, then we ate it. Might be a very silly, simple sentence, but in this case, then refers to a time. Okay, and than is used for comparisons. So let's say Johnny's school bag is bigger than mine. Okay, so in that case, I'm taking two school bags and I'm comparing the two of them. I use that. Okay, and that was the last one, but I do have a bonus thing to talk to you about, which is not one that is what I'd refer to as a big problem. It's more a small informality of a thing. So it is the different uses of, not the different uses, the reason when to use these. It's may and can. And pretty much every grade 9 learner by now has had this joke told to them. If you ask, can I go to the bathroom, Mr. Fouché? And I'll stand there and I'll say, I don't know, can you? And that's me just making a joke, saying, do you have the physical ability to go to the bathroom? And that's what this word refers to in a more formal setting. Okay, may is used as a formal way to ask permission for something. So technically, if you say, may I go to the bathroom, it's a better way of saying it. Now, technically you can use can. It has been used throughout the ages as also a way of asking for permission. But it's better to use may in formal language, which is obviously what you are learning at this very moment. You are studying formal academic English. So whenever you are in class, use may I go to the bathroom, or you're going to hear the same joke over and over because we English teachers find this very, very funny. Okay, and that is it for the lesson today. I hope this has clarified some of these things for you. And I'm going to greet you. So goodbye, grade 9s, and see you next time.